Yes, yes. Timing, because just before lunch, people want to go.
I will introduce you then. Thank you. Hello, everyone, again. Okay, so it's my pleasure to introduce Sandrine Desmurs, who is from the Auvergne-Rhônes-Alpes region, at I believe, a higher education centre for music teachers is the Cefedem translation. Thank you. So continuing on from the theme of sustainability from our previous presentation in a way, I think Sandrine projects us into the future of 2045 and what strategies are needed to shape the future trajectory of higher music education and indeed to ensure a relevant and sustainable music future.
I will try. So good morning. I'm so pleased and honored to be in front of you this morning. So Anatai, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm going to talk to you about a European project, Erasmus Knowledge Alliance, named the FAST45 project. FAST45 for Fast for Future Art School Trends in 2045. So this project gathered 7 higher arts institutions. Let me be precise, not just music institution, but arts institution. University of the Arts in Finland, Estonian Academy of the Arts in Tallinn, Technological University of Dublin in Ireland, the Cefedem Auvergne-Rhônes-Alpes in France, which I am from, Lucas School of Art in Belgium, Film University Babelsberg Konrad Wolf in Germany, and the School of Commons in Switzerland. We also had 2 European networks organization, AEC network and ELIA network, and also 3 business partners, Connexon Improbables from Spain, Microsoft from Ireland, and Xenorama from Germany. This is the consortium partner of this FAST45 project. So let me tell you a little bit of the story. In 2045, the institution of higher arts education, as we know today, might look quite different. Let's hope. Although we cannot predict the future, maybe we can shape it. But not by trying to impose the idea of today on tomorrow's, but maybe to use our human capacity of imagination, foresight, anticipation, and future thinkings. Why 2045? Because the people who are born at the beginning of the project in 2021 will be the students of our institution in 2045. So this idea was to start from a future studies approach, methodology, and then the project, let's say that we aim to imagine, to map, and to empower higher arts education landscape, where we imagine that participation, research, and education in the arts play a crucial and integrated role within the sector and in the society. This is the aim. Not easy. So we define 4 outcomes. Explore and inventory ideas on futures on EHIEs. Develop a pedagogical concept for a learning platform. Let's say that for us it's like a post-digital university of the arts. We have developed futures scenarios, and it will be the main focus of my presentation today. And we will organize the debate on policy and decision actions. That was the outcome that we are aiming to deliver. The project will end at the end of December of this year, and we have now quite finished the scenario that I will present to you, and we are working on the policy document and decision maker, which is a really hard task, to be honest. I'm sorry, I'm gonna read a lot. I've put a lot of information on my slide because about my English fluency, and when I try to improvise in English, it's not a good thing. I'm not really clear. So let's read a little bit. So to develop the 4 scenarios that I will present to you this morning, let me explain you the methodology that we use. We try to have exchange of knowledge, and for that we have conducted 49 interviews of our peers, which means that the people that we have interviewed are part of the cultural field or the artistic field. It's important to mention that, because I think it has colored the knowledge that we gathered. We also delivered 3 webinars and 2 seminar series, which means 13 at the end seminars. All the materials is available on the website. And we also conducted workshop on future studies methodology. One big in a summer school during 2022, the month of August, in the School of Commons in Switzerland, which gathered 135 participants. We also led 12 hard school future labs, which gathered 85 participants. And I put on the slide the results of the students of PGV, because I led a workshop yesterday and Wednesday morning. And just to explain you a little bit what happened during this kind of workshop, we tried to make people imagine the future by a hard-based method. And the students yesterday delivered 2 projects. And let me say that they are really dealing with the question of IT in their future of musician. So we had VR experience and also music therapy and holograms. So this is part of their imagination of the future. But we also have cookies. It's just a private joke. During this workshop, we get 43 concrete objects, because at the end of the workshop, the participants have to create an object, an artifact that is linked to their imagination of the world. So it was quite an enormous materials, because at the end we have a data set of 1,145 items, which are related to trends, to emerging issues, to questions that all the participants had. Then we have to analyze it. And for that, we try to press structures and to make some categories, some groups of items. We called it blocks. This is the collective part of all the work, because the 7 higher arts institutions were involved in that work. And then, to write the scenario, just 4 people of the consortium were involved, because writing a story, sometimes in one hand, it's better than 4 hands or 6 hands, and we were too much hands. So 4 people, 2 from the local School of Arts and 2 from Uni Arts, who were in charge of writing the scenario, 1 scenario per person. The scenarios are based on all the data that we have collected. It's not our own imagination, it's a collective imagination. So each scenario is built on a common canvas, an abstract of the scenario, the main drivers and trends that are leading to this scenario. These drivers are taken in the collected data. The operating environment in 2045. So what does the world look like in 2045? The path, how do we get there from today to 2045? What happened in between? And description of higher arts education landscape. What is HIE in this world? And we also write persona, which are imaginary characters, and also archetypal characters. So 4 scenarios, with the title. The 1, open spaces. 2nd, slow eco-life. 3rd, digital frontiers. And 4th, profitable endeavors. So I will present you the 4 scenarios. I tried to summarize it, and it was not an easy exercise, because the final document of the scenario will be a booklet of 40 pages. So 40 pages in 20 minutes. Okay, let's do it. So I will use the main idea of the driver of change, the main idea of the path, and the main idea of the reality of EHIE in each scenario. And I think it could be interesting for you to hear about one of the character per scenario, because it helps to embody the world in 2045 in each scenario. So let's do it. Open spaces. It is imaginary story, okay? Let's dive with me into the future. The main driver of this scenario is flexible and collaborative working environment, remote work and automation, project-driven and transdisciplinary work, increasing internationalization and cultural diversity, demographic shift and lifelong learning, and work-life balance. Imagine that during the collection of the data, we ask a lot of questions regarding political, social, cultural, religion, all kind of subjects regarding the society and the way people are looking to the future. That's why the drivers are really broad, not just about artistic practices. So, with these drivers, in this scenario, the main transformation are those. The vertically discipline-oriented approach has been abandoned. We have transitioned to an horizontal model grounded in transdisciplinary work and process thinking. This transdisciplinary approach in research and in education had reshaped the landscape of higher arts education, leading to a radical diversification of practices and the dissolution of artistic specialization within the arts university. Finally, the institution recognized the importance of addressing intra-artistic but also extra-artistic questions, acknowledging its role in broader societal contexts. So this holistic approach ensured that higher arts education remained at the forefront of innovation while upholding its commitment to excellence and experimental methods. The Arts University began to merge into open spaces and developed an overall dynamic beyond the idea of a purely artistic or academic institutions. The Arts University also actively engaged with a multicultural perspective, ensuring a non-European centric focus that dismantle geographical and cultural barriers, giving rise to diverse voices, and also an openness to anyone, because there is no more entrance examination and certificate verification. The rise of the gig economy continued to reshape the nature of work. More people opted for freelance work or short-time contracts, providing flexibility and independence. So the platform that connects freelancer professionals to clients facilitate this. So, in 2045, in this world, in this scenario, there is a need for more flexible and accessible learning environment that can accommodate a variety of intention and preferences for studies and inquiry because of democratic makeup of students in higher arts education, who is changing a lot. More and more students and more adult learners because of lifelong learning. And also a lot of financial constraint. So EHID developed these open spaces as hubs for artistic ingenuity, encouraging creativity and collaboration, and inclusive and collaborative environments. In this hub, there is a promotion for individualistic lifestyle, emphasizes self-relation, uniqueness, and abstract thinking. Also a strong relationship with diverse communities and engage with societal, environmental, social, cultural, and technological challenges. So let me introduce you to Alexander. Alexander is the program facilitator at Adverse Open Spaces. Alexander is a 30 years old man program facilitator at Adverse Open Space. As a coach, he supports several groups of students in going towards a radical diversification of their practice. He assists them in choosing what variety of profiles or work context they want to visit. And with his own student diverse background in mind, Alexander considers and discuss with students the specific condition of access to, follow-up, and exit from learning paths in projects and communities. Language barriers and cultural diversity challenge his work at adverse open spaces, but he tried to solve this by using flexible meeting spaces and informal chat rooms to accommodate and facilitate communication among multicultural and diverse teams. Let's move to the second scenario, which is slow eco-life. This scenario is based on this main driver change: ecological crisis, climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, strong sustainability as ecology framing practices in material, circular and sharing economy, and strict national and international regulation because of nature and natural resources. The idea of slowness and degrowth, and the flat hierarchies in institutions. So climate change was causing substantial damages to ecosystem and infrastructure due to extreme weather conditions, heat waves, floods, and sea level rise, and also a global warming plus 1.5 degrees. Strong political movements also against the market economy and the exponential growth increased. And then the circular and sharing economies became dominant, and the escalating amount of climate refugees increased and create turbulence in society, causing growing needs and pressure for intercultural communication and learning. And local self-sufficiency became a standard with distributed energy systems. This led to a movement to exodus from big city to small city or rural area where self-sufficiency was easier and slow. So, society are in a condition of survival, fighting in this world to keep global warming below plus 2 degrees. There are strong regulations and to limit emissions and consumption. The climate refugee brings new dynamics, but also tension in the society and local conflict. In the global north, the living standards have decreased due to the necessary of reduction of consumption and degrowth policies, and also due to unemployment and turbulence in the financial market. Circular economy leading to leading and sharing are highly valued when humanity learns to live within planetary limits. So repairing, D&I mentality and handicraft are really appreciated in this world. Instead of materialism, immaterial ideas such as culture and education are valued. Then EHIE becomes active contributors to sustainability goals, cultivating holistic, artistic, and conscientious citizens committed toward environment. So many arts universities are now settled in small cities where self-sufficiency is easier to embrace, and they are self-sufficient. And they embrace regenerative practices and collaboration between spaces. Slowness and degrowth are seen as catalysts for creativity, while resource scarcity is integral to artistic growth. So sharing economy, sharing knowledge, and holistic well-being are emphases. Hierarchies are flattened, and students play a vital role in decision-making. A board governs the arts university with rotating role, including students who participate actively in decision-making, where their opinions are as valued as experts' opinion. So concourse-retreat processes allows the collective intelligence to operate in all possible dimensions. There is also the necessity to focus on the non-human and less human-centered thinking, which is leading to a cutting-edge experimentation with interspecies communication and interaction. Let me introduce you to Kailin Nayati, a pioneer in interspecies research. Kailin is involved in several artistic interspecies research projects, They studies communication with mycelium and insect via artistic method, creates structures and new art material with nesting animals and spiders. In international research seminar and conferences, they mostly participate by online tools, but once a year, a long-distance travel is accepted, either by e-flight hopping with electric short-distance aeroplanes or by land travel within working hours. Kyling has time in their work week, not only to do research, but also to be inactive, relaxed, rest, or drift without immediate objectives. So this gives them time to be involved as a non-professional singer in a popular project with blackbirds and human, which is currently testing new spaces to get involved. The third one, phygital frontiers. Quantum cloud computing opened previously unreached frontiers in math, science, and technology. The ubiquity of generative and immersive technology are here. The impact of neurotechnology on our daily life, education, and healthcare are also part of this world. Blended physical and digital spaces, which is the name of phygital, and the cyborgification are part of this scenario. So in 2045, we can't ignore the trends of technology-driven art and art-driven technology, which mean the growing recruitment of creative profile, both in the industry and in the public sector. In the 30s, neuroscience took a giant leap and neurotechnology became widely available at reasonable prices. That had an enormous impact on healthcare, but also drastically changed the education and the entertainment industries. Cyborgification advances in healthcare, but inspired also early adopters in art scenes to experiment with enhancing their own body for art's sake. Artists augment the body and push artistic boundaries, integrating AI for personalized learning and generative technology for artistic research. This is the advent of a phygital environment, which is blending physical and digital realms. AI is so ubiquitous in this world that it has become impossible to find a technology that is AI-free. So the domain of technology-driven arts and arts-driven technology keep pushing scientific development, spawning new art domains, and questioning and exploring ethical boundaries. Underground art scene make experiments that operates in a gray area, as it may be illegal and sometimes ethically questionable. We are living in a world that has widely accepted and even promoted the idea that the arts significantly contribute to business and society. So in this world, arts education goal is to help young creatives to become adaptive, multi-skilled, also confident and self- and world-aware artists. AI algorithms perform real-time analysis of the student progress and provide reliable feedback and idea for the next step in the learning, while also identifying areas where students may need additional support or resources. Generative technology have revolutionized artistic research, and it is, the tools are widely adopted by the international research community as services that have drastically increased the originality, the authenticity, the variety, and the quality of the research output. There is the origin of the classic notion of authorships, which started a good decade ago, made way for broader interpretation of shared authorships, but also the blooming of more inclusive artistic research practices. So, for example, the new European Art School is run by an AI-driven educational decentralized autonomous organization, which means that the AI is the administrative force. But this service is also extended with 3 human bodies, one body for update the agenda, one body that research issues and propose solutions that can be voted upon, and a body that function as regulator and ethical board. But aside this kind of arts institution, there is also decentralized autonomous organization that manage education and fresh perspective. But we need legislation to navigate between the ethical challenge that these technology-driven methods are bound. So in this scenario, ethical principles are really the main focus of EHIE. So let me introduce you to Peter van Lettegem, which is a student lecturer at the NIES. So she has been a student in this institution for 5 years, and at the age of 15, she started hacking her body, and later started using her art studies to explore further the practical and artistic possibilities of her ongoing cyborgification. Now, at age 23, she is experimenting with generative tech tools and neurobots to generate unexpected and uncanny sensation. In 2042, she was drawn to be a sixth member of one of the board governing bodies of NEES, a mandate she used mainly to draw special attention to the accessibility gap of some workshops and courses for those fellow students that cannot afford the newest immersive tech bots. For 1 year now, she combines her studies with teaching an experimental tech class. Sorry, let's go to the last one, the profitable endeavors. So the main drivers of this scenario is the economic recession, the rise of the right-wing politics, neoliberalism, the consumerism, and university-industry collaboration. The context of the world in 2045 is really bound to the Ukraine war. Strict long-term austerity measures appears after the war, and some European countries fell into authoritarian states, enforcing censorship, deteriorating freedom of expression, and creating an environment where dissenting voices are silenced and critical discourses are suppressed. Some EU member states shift their focus from collective welfare to individual responsibility for personal well-being, and it is the end of public funding for arts and humanities. So, in this neoliberal climate, the efficiency of free market, deregulation and privatization of public sector are pursued above anything else by the EU member states. Industries harness higher education to serve their needs. And in this climate, some talented artists manage to engage in high-profile social networks, securing lucrative contracts in traditional artistic domains, but others succeed by commodifying artistic thinking and creativity into innovative professional services for non-art sector. Businesses and organizations hire them for projects designed to meet specific customer needs. But it's hard to maintain their creative vision and integrity while conforming to the demand of this business partner. With the reduce of public funding, art organizations are struggling to secure external funding and donation, leading to increased pressure from benefactor and business partner who expect measurable social and economic impact in return. This pressure often results in arts organizations opting for conservative programming to maintain economic success, shifting the diversity of artistic voice and leading to an homogenization of arts. So, art institutions are driven as company, and they are international cross-border merger between arts universities to gain a competitive edge. They navigate like business-oriented landscape. They became a business-oriented landscape, which means facing challenges to academic and artistic freedom. Customized education, university business partnership, and impact-focused research offer opportunities, but it is also the persistence of economic constraint and limited access to higher arts education. Then, informal networks and agile alliances outside traditional institutions foster artistic inquiry and achievement. To thrive, most of artists and institutions must adapt, forge alliances, and embrace alternative networks that foster inclusivity, artistic freedom, and diverse perspective. So let me introduce you to Ever Alston, who is a virtual dream performance design student. Oh, I missed the description in my notes, sorry. Let me just have a quick, let me read the booklet. I'm coming. Yeah, you have all the booklet, you know, you see what I have to summarize. Tick, 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 where is Ever? I'm not in the good scenario, sorry for that. Here it is. Ever, where are you, Ever? I'm looking at you. Yes, here you are. So Ever is a 19-year-old non-binary virtual dream performance student, design student at Uni Arts. He has been an influencer since birth, with over 100 million followers in hologram, 52.7 million on VirtueMe, and their witty comedy content. They ranks as one of the most followed university brand ambassadors among teenagers and their parents in Europe. A recent deal with Ever has brought Uni Arts Nordic positive publicity and tons of carefully segmented followers on many social media channels, which has boosted its international attractiveness with more than 300% and brought in 3,200 new online students with a turnover approaching 16 million euros during the past quarter, which is a good example of business partnership. So here are a short presentation of our scenario, imaginative scenario. I'll come back to my presentation. We have already presented it to some kind of feedback. We have presented it to the board member of ALIA and AEC, and also we have some feedback in the consortium partner. So let me share with you some critical or comments around on that. So we assume that the future will be certainly a mix of the four scenarios because they are archetypal stories, but it helps to dive into specific questions to have this kind of archetypal scenario. We also decide not to write a real dystopian scenario, meaning the effective disappearance of arts institution. But in fact, maybe this is linked to the data we have collected, because we just talk with people from our field. We ask members from the cultural field and from the artistic field, and in their own input, they just don't imagine the disappearance of EHIE. Maybe if we have asked to people from a larger scope of society, maybe one of them will have mentioned that we don't need arts anymore. That could launch us to a dystopian view. Also, we have realized that we have based the scenario on the most frequent occurrence in the items. We also try to look at the marginal one, but the partner of the consortium were surprised by how few cultural rights occur, which is in the European country something that is rising as an idea for the future, the cultural right. We also mentioned that the student voice, which is something that is really important, must be more clear in each scenario, even if we have a persona, a student persona in each scenario, but we are thinking about the student voice. which are not the most present in the participant that we had also. The digital and ecological elements should be covered in all the scenario, even more than what it is now. And maybe it was a joke, but let's say that it could have been interesting. Someone asked us why we didn't ask ChatGPT to write the 5th scenario. We didn't do it. The next step of this project is to transfer the scenarios into an agenda and a policy document. This is the task that we are doing now, and it is, in fact, really difficult. We don't know the format of this document, and we are trying to work with the policymaker to ask them what they need to make the path and to be more brave to take the decision that we need them to take. And during this multiplier event, we try to have some European representative of the European Commission. So we are really trying to have to involve them in the debate and in the discussion, and we hope that it will be a great moment of debates regarding the future of our institution and our own heart landscape. So this is it. Everything I was talking about will be on the website. I think the learning platform will be launched in mid-October, and there is a huge amount of content, really interesting content. The interviews are really passionate. The seminar, it's really fruitful, and the website is also a great place for the dissemination of our project. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sandrine. That was a lot.
Yes.
Good luck. Good luck. Firstly, that babies born now will be students in 2045 makes me feel very, very old. It's terrifying. So a slightly left field view, I think, from me, for an on-the-surface linear trajectory, 2021 to 2045, what really struck me was the very non-linear, multi-dimensional, circular, concentric circles, post-human, non-human dimensions of the scenarios, which I really enjoyed. It's not a new way of thinking, it's very much the worldview of our First Nations people throughout the world for tens of thousands of years, and I just think it's inspiring to see that our thinking is moving in that direction. It's essential, I think. So that's my little left field take on what I saw from that. But I'd like to throw the floor open to any other questions and comments from our audience. Yes, Miko.
Hi, so thank you very much for an exciting vision. Yeah, very, very colorful, exciting vision. Great. As far as I understand, and then actually I come from UniArts Helsinki, so my institution is part of it. This is an Erasmus Plus project running to the end of this year, 2023.
Yes.
So now is the culminating time to get it finished.
Yes, yes.
And this policy document is a key outcome.
Yeah.
Now, to whom are you going to submit this policy document? Not just as a report of the project, but being a policy document, it had certain target recipients. Who are they?
This is the big question that we are trying to dive in nowadays. So we are wanting to talk and to work with European Commission. So we will try to invent at the multiplier event, maybe the Education Commissioner, the Arts and Cultural Commissioner, people who have power to decide, in fact, at a European level. So this is the work of the AEC board member who are also we are connected to that kind of person, but we will invite a lot of CEO, director of institution, those who can have a voice to make changement, and most of the time those who have a voice to get to concrete action are the decision makers. So we will try to address this policy document to that kind of people, which is quite an hard job to do, in fact, because in the consortium partner, we don't have any director, for example, and we are all struggling on maybe the reality of the decision maker also, and that's why it was really interesting to have the feedback of the board member of AEC and ELIA, because most of them are directors of arts institution, and their main feedback was, okay, how can I deal with all this concretely? Because, as you said, it is not new, in fact, because the issue that we mentioned in this project are already part of the debates since 10, 15, 20 years, as Paul mentioned, talking about the connection with the society. It's not a new thing, but it is more and more relevant. So there is like an urgency, and we have to transform the vision with concrete action, and we need to work with them, and not. We don't want to give them. You have to do that. I think it's not the purpose, but maybe some advice, because we have collected it from people who are involved in this field. So it's not just our own imagination. It's what the people that we have interviewed or are engaged, involved in this project, have said about what they want for the future. So this is maybe a key things, but I can't tell you how the policy document will look like and what it is inside, because this is the next step, and we are not. We didn't start. We don't start the work because of the summer break, because we finished the scenario in June. We have the feedback in March, and we finished in June, and then we will start working on the policy document in September. So,
thank you. Good luck.
Yes, thank you.
I have one question that can be asked on the microphone, and the other I prefer not. The first one is we tried, like in PGM, to do the FAST 2023, 10 years ago, but the ideas of us and the students, some of the students seeing the scenario, and for them to do it on daily basis, change in their lives towards this goal, it's quite far apart. Do you see any solution to that for this project, that in terms of education, making curriculums, or even curating studying atmosphere, or even how to work with colleagues, that they will see the same goal?
I don't think I have any solution, but I will emphasize what Paul already said before. I think in the consortium we are really aware that maybe one key things will be that our institution become laboratory, become more agile, and become more experimental places to invent, because nobody knows what will happen. I think this project also was launched just after the COVID crisis, which has maybe changed a lot of our mindset regarding the future, because it happens like that, and really it was really frightening for everybody. So keywords are becoming laboratory and destroying silo. It's not a new thing, but let's do it. It's not a new thing, so go, let's do it. Try to make more cross-disciplinary. And for me, for example, I am a musician, and to work with fine arts, and it was amazing to discover their process, their way of thinking. So we need that kind of things to become more a laboratory, and also to accept a key word was also uncertainty. We are living in a world of uncertainty, and I think we have to be a little bit confident about that, and to empower our students not to be frightened by uncertainty, but maybe to think that it could be a creative path also, which is not easy, and it's not a solution. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that when I can do it in the microphone? Okay. Yeah, you can. I can. Okay. In fact, I mentioned it on the slide, and I didn't tell it, but it's a really European-centric vision. We didn't include quite. I think there is one person from Asian country in the interviewee, for example, and the participants of the workshop were European because it was led in the European countries. So I think this is a huge critic of the project. But during the AC Congress, we have represented at the beginning of the FAST45 project, and there were students of Asian countries, and she had maybe the same question as you have, saying that we don't have the same way of thinking about the future, and as Paul explained also, our relation to classical music and so on. So I think I've described the future of European vision and not of the world. Absolutely agree. And I don't have an answer regarding how we will deal with this huge player. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Sandrine. So many questions. But the one that struck me was when I first went into higher education senior management, the people born that year are now 33. And I haven't seen this degree of change. Possibly more challengingly, I think when I went into higher education 33 years ago, we might have been in a better place to take forward some of these scenarios. And what happened in between was Bologna and assurance. So when you talk about uncertainty, we've had a generation of aspiration towards certainty.
Yes, totally.
And the question, and just taking Anatai's first point, students coming through an educational process which was about the systems enabling certainty are going to be in a schizophrenic situation, because on the one hand they're going to be embracing a lot of these concepts as exciting, novel, and where they live in their real spaces, if the real space is somewhere between inside and virtual and external, that's where they're living. But the systems that we're imposing are further away from this than ever, and they themselves have built-in rigidities for change. So in placing this, along with that thing about the global dimension of this, because obviously if Europe goes one way and the rest of the world is not in genuine dialogue or even equal dialogue, that's obviously fraught with problem. But the other one is how to put in the policy a recognition that this needs radical and immediate change if we are going to enable this. Just the questions without answers, but it's so beautiful to see the options and to see realities. How do we do that from this place?
Maybe it's not an answer, but we all know that with policymakers, you don't have to tell them what they have to do. It's a certain way that they won't do what you want. So we have to involve them in the process. This is the main difficult task that we have to do, to make them think that they have the last word. So we have to involve them in the process. So we have to work on that. But it is not it's not an answer. But I have a feeling that another key point for me that is not really relevant in our scenario also, but which is not also part of the presentation that I've seen since 2 or 3 days. We are not talking about making a living, and we are higher arts education. One of our goals is to empower our students in making a living tomorrow, and we are disconnected with the reality of let's say, not job or employment, but the reality of making a living in our world, 2 days and tomorrow. So I think for me, this is a huge gap, and maybe it can explain why we have to talk about music education, because it is part of the employment possibility. Working with society, there are jobs. There cannot be jobs if there is funding for that. Okay, I'm not so naive. But all that kind of thing, being an artist today, I think it's quite numerous activities, and not only a performance or a composer. I'm not sure it's still relevant today and tomorrow. So I'm astonished, and we don't have that kind of things in the scenario also. It is sometimes in certain sentence, but it's not the main things. But maybe making a living tomorrow would be also really different. What does it mean to make a living? What does it mean to earn money from your heart? So all that kind of question that we don't have any answer. I give you my microphone.
You're too kind. Thank you very much. Really fascinating, really. My reflection, I have not a question, but it's a reflection, certainly not a final reflection. It is actually a kind of autocritique for us. The work that you are doing with your group is actually, should be, an essential part of each leadership in each institution. Thinking about the future is something that you should expect from the leadership. I mean, not the big bosses, I mean the leadership, including teachers, professors, students. I mean, there is a leadership in that. What is a leadership today in institution? It is actually not facilitating what is happening today, but facilitating what should happen tomorrow, after tomorrow, next week, next year. And in many institutions, in Europe at least, you have these terms for leadership, 4 years, 5 years, in Italy even 3 years. How can you expect that people are thinking about the future? So there is a kind of autocritique in my reflection. We should think of how making it happen in our institutions, that people think about the future, and that is felt like a daily business.
Just a comment. When we have launched the workshop, each partner we have tried to involve our leadership, our directors, and most of them didn't come. Why? Because most of the workshop were during one day, and no no director, no leadership can have one day free to do that kind of workshop. So, and it was also part of the feedback of the AEC members and the board of ELIA. Most of their tasks nowadays have to solve the really concrete problems and short terms. They don't have time to think long term. So that's also part of their reality, and we don't find a solution to involve them in that kind of methodology. And this is also the huge problem of the next step of our project. Will we manage to involve them in this multiplier event? Honestly, I'm not sure.
Doing it again, sorry, if I may. Thank you. I'd like to be the last. Just a comment, and thank you, Bernard, too, for that. That's really thought-provoking, and also, Peter, those comments. Slightly working backwards, I'm thinking the thing that sort of leadership, I think, that you're talking about, arguably isn't leadership, when there's not the opportunity to look forward and to build the future, and it's a little bit too much like political terms. It's hard for people to get out of that. But the other thing I was just thinking, also from what Bernard said, that I'm wondering too if those of us who frankly aren't the generation who will be involved in the transformation or live the transformation, I'm just thinking it's an opportunity for those of us in that preceding generation to at least be involved in the transformation, because arguably it's going to probably happen anyway, which is interesting. And I think too, just speaking of some other kind of cultural centres in some other parts of the world, we do see glimpses at least of recognition that the industry and the need to commercialise or monetise or whatever activities, in some ways there's greater awareness of that. Speaking, without the microphone about China, but we actually see signs of that happening anyway, so there's this interesting kind of duality or something. But I think it's that fantastic presentation, and I just hope that those of us who are a little older can be involved in the transformation rather than kind of be, pushed aside and bruised by it. That's all.
Thank you very much, Sandrine and Donna, for presenting and also hosting this session. So, as you may know, it's a lot of food for thought for this. Already a lot of homework for us before 2045, so we can do a lot. But for now, we have 45 minutes for your lunch. 45 minutes, fast 45. Yeah, 45 minutes, fast 45 minutes for lunch before the performance from the Nanjing University of the Arts start at 1 p.m. It's a really wonderful performance, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Okay, we'll see you later and enjoy your lunch.